I think there's so many things happening here, and so many changes happening nowadays. So I think it's important that all of us in HR continue to really, keep learning and be updated. What I've also done in the last year was also to write a book, just putting together all my experiences over the last 38 years, over these 4 or 5 different industries, in a very practical kind of a playbook. And I thought I would just share it with people in terms of, just to share my perspectives and learnings and of others. So that's about myself. No, I think high attrition is due to many reasons. Yeah, I think number one, huge demand, great growth in the IT industry, IT services industry, great growth in the Indian startup ecosystem because of huge amount of funding, and all of them have invested in technology and they're hiring. A lot of growth in even the GCCs, the large multinationals setting up their own IT centers and back offices. So I think, and there is this push towards digitization due to the pandemic, so therefore all of that has led to a great demand for IT talent. And it's also kind of just followed by a shortage of supply, because the year before in the pandemic, maybe it was, companies were going a bit slow on hiring. So all that has really picked up. So yes, I think that the way is, again, it is an industry phenomena, and it is across all industry. I think the way to really manage this, that we have tried to do, is really looking at what is your employee value proposition. What is it that you want to stand for, and how can you continue to really strengthen that? Compensation would play a role because this is a general market demand, but there's also a lot of focus on what else, growth, promotions, getting people to reskill, more internal mobility of people. So these are some of the other things that we've been doing. I think the last 2 years have been tough because, it's all virtual. That's also added to it. Some of our on-site opportunities couldn't happen because of travel restrictions to the US and Australia and other countries. All those are now picking up. So I think it's about how do you manage this attrition? I think clearly looking at your value proposition, greater conversations with people on their career aspirations and managing it. Looking at internal mobility, promotions, reskilling people and compensating them for right skills. So those are the kind of things we do. No, I think the pandemic has, while there is a great flexibility, they can work anytime and at their home, but that flexibility also meant that, they had to have longer hours. Yeah. And therefore, some people have used that. I think they've taken breaks in between. They've had maybe a longer lunch or, done some work at home and then come back to work. So I think people have used this flexibility, etc. But you're right. I think some of it has also led to longer hours. Now, what we have done is, I think, key thing. What kind of comes, how can you help in this way? I think, firstly, I think there's a need for good amount of social connections. Yeah. So I think managers and their teams have to connect more at an individual level. I think that's very important. Yeah. And I think you've got to ensure that that is possible. Secondly, I think people need times for breaks. So what we've also done for teams, and we've told our teams to really look at a day where you will not have any calls after 6. Look at a day where you will not have any meetings after whatever. So those kind of things has really helped in some cases to really give some respite to people, in case there are things. I think a lot of it is team dependent. And they can say, listen, this is what we will do. And it kind of, they set up their own routine saying we will not do these kind of things. Also, it's good, and what we've recommended is have a cadence of meeting which is regular at one time so that people know and try and attend that rather than, too many late evening calls. So that's the other thing that people have been doing. Then, of course, in all of this, we've got to keep giving employees various opportunities for them to really do a bit of self-care, check themselves. We have various on our website, we have various kind of questionnaires that they can do, which tells them a little bit about there is any stress that is there, are they under anxiety, and if they do it, then they can really quickly call up somebody and reach out. What we also started last year was something called Women Samaritans. Samaritans is we already have a group, which is our employees who are trained to be like the counselors, first level counselors before somebody. So they're trained to spot any issues or any mental health concerns and counsel in the first instance. So we found a lot more women going through a little bit of long hours and stress, and therefore we created a whole team which is called Samaritans for Women, women who helping other women. So they've been there, they've been trying to reach out and coach people, and talk to them, etc. So I think these are all the measures, lots more communication about well-being and well-being, various tools that people can use to assess themselves, see where they are, call counselors or help desk whenever they need to. Those are at the company level. The teams doing lots more regular connects, having times where you don't really kind of have meetings so that people have some breaks, allowing for that flexibility, and the manager and the team really talking a lot more on a personal basis. I think those are the kind of things that really help manage this. Well, see, I wouldn't say there is a complete change in employer-employee relationship. I don't think it is that drastic. I think what has changed is people have been working remotely, and there's been lots more virtual kind of work. But the teams, if you look at the various research, the teams that have been working feel much more strongly connected. Yeah, maybe they are not connected to the larger organization, but they're strongly connected within the teams that they are working. And number two, I think companies have done various things in a virtual way. For example, in Infosys, we have something called Petit Infosians, which is children of Infosians come and perform various things, dance, music, art, and various things. And that we have done on a remote way for the last 2 years, and it's continuing there. So I think many of our events have been done, but in a remote way. Yeah? Now, what is the one big change? The one big change is this whole thing about remote working or flexible working. That's the biggest change. What we never had 2 years back, now we've got lots more flexibility, people working out of home. That's the change there. Now, well, when you do a test and a survey and check out people, there are some people who want to come back. There are some who are saying, listen, I need some connect, at least I want to come back. There may be some who may have gone to their hometowns and all that, and they would still wait for some time. They have their own flexibility, they have own reasons, so they will take some time before they kind of start moving in. I think, but they still all miss the buzz and the thing of being in the campus, the buzz of being in cities. So I think they will come and do that. But at the moment, I think it's they're moving on that. Over time they'll move there. There are others, for example, who are waiting for the whole ecosystem to open, the daycare centers, the schools, and the others. So till last year, none of them are fully open. Now, I think when they start opening, that really opens up. People can be freer in coming. So I think, so to your question, I would say there's a complete change in employer-employee relationship. There is a change of this whole flexible, remote, virtual working, which brings with its own challenges. But as we are looking at that, I think we are slowly moving back. Some people want to come back, and then it's a journey over time. I think people will slowly move, because this is not something that you can mandate on one day, and it'll happen over time. No, see, I would call it resistance, and I think it's a kind of we got to start getting people back, because there have been some issues, and and it's a question of managing this whole transition. Yeah. So what have we done is, I think as a company we have said, listen, whoever is in the cities and the towns that are there, come for 2 days a week voluntarily. I think again, you choose the days you want to come, you choose what it is, maybe talk to your teams and maybe come together as a team 1 or 2 days a week, so that you start meeting and sorting out problems. Yeah. So that's the first step. Over time, I think we'll say, okay, who are the others who are willing to come or able to come, who want to come, join in. Yeah. So I think we have to be conscious of the need for flexibility. We also have to be conscious of the need that some profiles can be done remotely, and some talent would continue to be remote. Yeah. So in the end, this is going to be more as we will end up a hybrid kind of a work. There will be some group of people who will kind of work from the office fully. There'll be some group of people who will probably come 2-3 days a week. It would vary, yeah. And there would be some who would say, listen, I'm not going to come through the week, maybe once a month or once a quarter or something, depending on the kind of profile. So we probably will have a mix of all. And this is something which will evolve over time. Yeah. And I think it's a mix of what the team likes, what the client wants, what the job kind of demands, and also the flexibility needs of the individual. So we'll have to put all of this together. And I think it'll evolve over time. And slowly, I think people will do what is best for them, for their careers, and also keeping in mind their own personal needs. And I think and most organizations will have options which will suit all their needs, I think.